Yes.
Sounds good to me. Let's get started. Okay, here we go. Let me turn on my PowerPoint and let's get started. Here we go. Donde está? Here we go. All right. All right, can everybody see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm going to turn the microphones off for just a second, and I'm going to turn them back on, and we'll practice in a minute. But I'll turn the microphones off so we can have a nice, quiet presentation for a few minutes. And then we will be able to practice together in a minute. Okay, infinitives. Let's talk about infinitives. All right, an infinitive in English is the base form of the verb after the word to. Like I was saying a minute ago, that word to is very, very important to your infinitive. Its form is consistent no matter the time or the subject. So we need no S, no ing, no ed, no changes to infinitives. So let me show you what I mean. When I was young, I wanted to be a baseball player, right? To be is the infinitive. It doesn't matter that it's past, right? Because I have this verb in past, wanted. This doesn't have to be past, just the first one, right? This one is in present. I like to watch scary movies. But again, no change to the verb. Miguel has decided to look for a job. This one's present perfect, but no change to the verb. You'll have to finish your homework by next Friday. This one is future, but again, no change to the infinitive. The infinitive is the same. The first verb will change. Maybe the first verb is past or present perfect or future. The first verb changes. But the other verbs don't change. This one is past. Tess went to the grocery store, but this one is infinitive, to buy. So again, don't worry about the infinitive. It never changes the form. It's always the same, no matter what. We use the infinitive in many different situations. Let's look at them closely. Let's see what we got here. Most popular, after verbs. We already learned in level 1 and level 2 some infinitives. In level 1, we learned have to. In level 2, we learned want to and need to. So these are the infinitives, right? The most common place to see an infinitive is after a verb. These verbs are often potential actions that haven't happened yet. The first verb is often simple present tense. For example, this one's present continuous, but you see what I mean. We're planning to have a party next Saturday. Right? I don't need will, even though I'm talking about next Saturday. We're planning to have a party. I hope to retire when I am 65 years old. Not will hope, just hope. Right? The first verb simple present, the second verb infinitive. David wants to be an X-ray technician. Again, in the future, but I don't need will. He wants to be. It's a potential action. He's not an X-ray technician now, but he wants to be. All students need to submit their paragraph by next Monday. And again, I don't need will, just need to. Alicia intends to sell her house next summer. Again, the first verb is simple present or present continuous. The second verb is infinitive. So I don't need will or going to for these sentences. It's not necessary. I already have a future verb with the infinitive. The infinitive is about a potential action in the future. A potential action in the future. And here's a nice list of verbs that use infinitives. Don't go crazy trying to copy this list down, because I will send you these slides as soon as the presentation is over. I'll send them to you on your Remind app or your WhatsApp. But here's a list of verbs that use infinitives. The ones in black are infinitive only. The ones in red on the right side of the screen are verbs that use infinitive or gerund. So, for example, the first word, begin. I could say, it began to rain. Or I could say, it began raining. No problem. Continue, same thing. I continued to work. I continued working. No problem. So all those verbs in red, gerund or infinitive, not important. But all the ones in black on the other side, on the left side of the screen, all those verbs in black, those are infinitive only. So this is going to be the challenge. We have to remember which verbs use gerund, which verbs use infinitive, and which verbs can be both. So the list on the left side, infinitive only. The list on the right, gerund or infinitive. So all of these words can be gerund. Now, some of these words you might not know, but most of them probably are familiar to you. These are the words that use an infinitive. So these words are usually simple present or simple past, maybe sometimes present continuous, but the action of the future action is infinitive. So for example, promise. I promise to be on time tomorrow, right? I don't say I will promise, I just say I promise. I promise to be on time tomorrow. Or I say, don't forget to lock the door tonight. Or afford. I can't afford to take a vacation this year. I can't afford to take a vacation this year. All use infinitive. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to send you these slides right after class, so you'll have this list on your phone to check and study anytime. All right, what's the second time we use an infinitive? After some adjectives. Remember, what's an adjective? An adjective describes a noun, like happy, like sad, like easy, like difficult, right? So after an adjective, we want to have an infinitive, right? Here's some examples. I will be able to help you tomorrow. Remember, able to is what we talked about last week, right? Able is an adjective. We're ready to go anytime. Ready is an adjective. Lisa is eager to start her new job. The word eager means excited, right? Eager to start her new job. My parents are happy to be retired. Happy to. Adjective, infinitive. Adjective, infinitive. You are lucky to have such a nice boss. Lucky to have. Lucky to have. Adjective, lucky. To have, infinitive. Now, sometimes we use an adjective with a gerund, but most of the time we use an adjective with an infinitive, right? But be careful, it says. Many adjectives are used with prepositions and gerunds. So for example, maybe you could say, I'm excited about going to the beach. Or you could say, I'm excited to go to the beach, right? If you have an adjective with a preposition, you want a gerund. Remember, we always use a gerund with a preposition. So be careful. Sometimes you have an adjective with an infinitive. Sometimes you have an adjective with a preposition and a gerund. So it all depends on what the adjective is. So there are two kinds. Remember from the last chapter, chapter 3, we learned all about to and enough. When do we use to and enough? When something is a problem with to, right? If we use to when there's a problem. And we use enough when something is sufficient, right? To means a problem. Enough means sufficient, right? But we use them both with an infinitive. And we can also do it with a noun. Remember the story about the lady who was trying to fix her smoke alarm. She said the ceiling was too high to reach the alarm. Or, for example, I'm too busy to exercise this week. I'm too busy to exercise. Too busy, infinitive. Liz doesn't have enough money to buy a laptop right now. Enough money to buy. And remember, we always use enough in front of a noun. This suitcase is too heavy for little Alex to carry by himself. Too heavy to carry. Infinitive. This classroom is big enough to hold 35 students. Notice this is from the last chapter, right? Enough goes in front of the noun, but after the adjective. After the adjective. And we use an infinitive for all. To hold, to carry, to buy, to exercise. We can use infinitives for all of them there. Fix that little problem there. There we go. And back. And notice in the example about little Alex, I can put for in between to and the infinitive, right? It's not too heavy for me, but it's too heavy for little Alex to carry by himself, right? We put for in the middle there. Too heavy for me, too big for me, right? We can put that in there. All right. So that's to and enough. We had that in the last chapter. Nouns and pronouns. This is another one we can use with infinitive. Sometimes we use an infinitive after a noun or pronoun to give a description of the word. For example, I have an idea to save the company some money, right? Idea is a noun, and to save is describing what kind of idea I have. What do you think of my proposal to change the parking policy? Proposal is a noun. To change, infinitive. Would you like something to drink? Right? We say this all the time with something, anything, nothing, something to drink, infinitive. I'm bored. There's nothing to do. Again, pronoun plus infinitive. Yeah, something, nothing, anything, those are called indefinite pronouns. I'm in the mood to see a movie tonight. Again, mood is a noun, so we use that infinitive afterward. In the mood to see a movie. All right, good. So nouns and pronouns. So we've had verbs, adjectives, nouns, and pronouns. So a lot of different things can be in front of an infinitive. Here's another one, question words. Sometimes we use a question word with an infinitive. We use it to communicate the idea of can or should. When we're talking about ability or advice. For example, do you know how to swim? How to swim. Adjective, no, sorry, not adjective, question word plus infinitive. Question word, how, infinitive, to swim. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I need some advice. Tell me what to do. Question word, infinitive. Question word, what? Infinitive, to do. The students are wondering who to talk to about the problem, right? Who is the question word. To talk is the infinitive. I'm not sure how many hot dogs to cook. Again, here we have a longer question word. We have how many hot dogs. But still, that's the question word followed by the infinitive. How many hot dogs to cook? Right? Well, those hot dogs look a little burnt in that picture. Maybe he needs to turn down the flame a little bit on that. All right. In order to. Now, this one is especially important for level 3 students because this one is on the test, the level 3 final test. Right? We use an infinitive to show the goal or purpose of an action, to show why we are doing something. In order to save money, I bring a sack lunch to work, right? That's what. Why do you bring a sack lunch? In order to save money. In order to. We went to the bank. ¿Por qué? To cash our checks. My mother does exercise. ¿Por qué? To stay healthy. I went online in order to check ticket prices for the flight. And notice, in order is optional. In order is optional. Now, we need to be very careful with this one because in Spanish, you would say para, but in English, we don't say that. So for example, you might say, I went to the store para comprar des manzanas, right? In order to buy some apples, right? But don't say for to buy. Just say to buy or in order to buy. All right. Subjects. Like I said, infinitives are very flexible. We can use them in so many different ways. In formal English, we can use an infinitive as a subject. However, we are more likely to use an infinitive after the word it in the subject position. So let me show you the difference between formal English and standard English, right? This one is fine. To travel to Australia costs a lot of money. Fine, but it sounds very formal. What's more normal English, more typical English? It costs a lot of money to travel to Australia, right? I have to travel in the back. And what do I have in the front? It, right? I added that word it to make my sentence flow a little more nicely. To vote is very important. Formal English. But more standard English, it's very important to vote. It's very important to vote. It is plus infinitive. So whenever you say, it's easy, it's difficult, it's fun, it's hard, it's necessary, it's a good idea, to. It's easy to ride a bicycle. It's difficult to learn English. It's hard to win the lottery. It's necessary to fill out a registration form. It's a good idea to eat healthy food, right? And here's our little note. Remember, gerunds can be subjects too. We use gerund subjects as well. Remember that from your gerund presentation. And finally, we can use the infinitive after be. Sometimes when the verb is be, the infinitive can be in two different positions. This is only true when the verb is be. If the verb is something other than be, we can't do it. But sometimes we can do it this way, right? To be an actor is Jason's dream, right? Here we put the infinitive in front. But we can also switch it around. Jason's dream is to be an actor. The first one, more formal English. The second one, more standard English. To graduate from high school is my goal. Very formal. Or more typical, my goal is to graduate from high school. I feel so bad for all the high school graduates this year. They can't have ceremonies and they have to just put on their little hat and gown and go to the Zoom graduation. Very, very sad for the graduates this year. But oh well. And remember, we can also use a gerund in I could say being an actor is his dream. His dream is being an actor. So I can say it with a gerund or an infinitive, no problem. All right, practice time. So I'm going to turn on everybody's microphone. Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mr. Webb.
All right. First, before I turn on, before we look at the practice, let me stop the share for a second so I can get a look at you. Any questions? That's a lot of information, right? That's a lot of information. So don't panic if you don't understand everything yet. But remember that infinitives are much more flexible than gerunds. Infinitives are much more flexible than gerunds. We can use them after verbs, after nouns, after adjectives, after to and enough, after question words, as a subject, after it. So many different ways to use infinitive, right? Gerunds are very limited. Only those 4 ways we talked about, right? Infinitives are much more flexible. So we can use infinitives in all of those different ways. All right, so are you ready for some practice?
Yes.
Sure, let's practice. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to go back to that presentation and I have some practice there for us. So let's see, go back here. There we go. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm leaving the microphones on because I'm going to need you to participate in this one and give me your ideas. Okay, so it says, let's practice. Complete the following with the correct word. Sometimes it's going to be a gerund, sometimes it's going to be infinitive, and sometimes we're going to use a base verb. Okay, so let's see what we can do. All right, the first one. I need my homework tonight. I need my homework tonight. What can we say there? I need
To finish.
to do or to finish, right? Right, we're going to use an infinitive. Need plus infinitive. Very good.
Yes.
All right, let's try another one. I enjoy at the public pool.
I enjoy swimming.
Swimming, very good.
At
A
public
gerund,
pool.
a gerund, that's right. We use a gerund with enjoy. Right? Okay. Where do you plan for vacation?
To go.
To go. Very good. Excellent. Infinitive here. Plan to. All right. Let's try another. Lisa can the guitar very well.
Listen,
Play
it.
to play.
Should we say to play or just play?
Play.
Play. Right.
Play.
Base verb, right? We use the base verb with our modals. Can is one of the modals, right? We talked about can and could and be able to last week, right? All right. I went to the zoo. ¿Por qué? The new baby panda.
To
To
see.
see.
All right, very good, right? To see the new baby panda. Infinitive. Infinitive for the reason you're doing something. Excellent. All right, let's try some more. I think Alejandro is too young the bus by himself.
To take.
Hey.
To take, right?
Taking.
I agree. Oops. Oops. Sorry. Small problem there. One moment. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. All right, back to business. Okay. All right, so let me share here. One more time. Let's try it one more time. There we go. All right. Okay. We decided to take, right? Alejandro is too young to take the bus by himself. Can everybody see the slides now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. All right, let's look at number 7. It's not easy a foreign language fluently.
To have.
It's not easy. To speak.
Should we say speak or to speak?
To speak.
To speak, right?
speak.
Infinitive.
All right.
Because we have that word it is in front. Remember whenever we have it's easy, it's fun, it's difficult, it's hard, to. My hobby is
Play.
Playing.
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 los dos.
To play.
Okay.
Both are okay.
Playing.
My hobby is playing video games. My hobby is to play video games. No problem. Everybody should polite to customers.
Should be.
I agree, should be. Again, we have a modal, should, so base verb. We
Should
want
be
the base
polite.
verb. Should be polite to the customer. Should be.
Polite.
And number 10. Oops, I gave you the answer already. What's wrong? Sorry.
That's okay.
I clicked too quickly. What's wrong? I don't understand how to do this math problem, right? With how, we want to say to. And we do that all of the time, right? How to swim, how to dance, how to speak English, right? How to is very, very popular.
Okay.
Okay. All right, good. Let's try another one. Number 11 says Quentin enjoys old Hollywood movies on TV. Enjoy
To see. Sing.
seeing or watching, both would be fine, right?
Watching.
Enjoy
Or
plus
watching.
gerund,
Okay.
right? Enjoy plus gerund.
Watching.
Seeing would be fine too. Usually, if it's on TV, we say watching, and if it's in the movie theater, we say seeing. So,
Okay.
Teacher, if that question is without S, enjoy, just enjoy, is to see?
no, enjoy is
No.
always ing.
No. Enjoy is with S at the end?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
it.
it's always gerund.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's enjoy or enjoyed or will enjoy, it doesn't matter. It's always
Okay.
gerund. All right.
Yeah.
Now here we have a verb in the subject position. In an apartment by yourself is expensive.
Live.
I
To be in a farm.
In an apartment.
Live.
Live. To live.
I scared.
In this case, both.
Living. To live.
Living in an apartment by yourself is expensive, or to live in an apartment. When we have it in the subject position, I can do gerund. Gerund is most popular. Infinitive, very formal English. But both are okay. Both are okay. All right. I have decided a computer class next year.
To take.
To take. Very good. Infinitive with decide. Decide plus infinitive. Melissa called her mom, happy birthday.
Having to have.
Say.
Maybe to say.
Lisa called her mom.
To say.
Say.
To say happy birthday. I called her to say happy birthday. Yeah. Do you remember that Stevie Wonder song, I just called to say I love you? You remember that song?
Yes.
I just called to say I love you. Right? Right? That's exactly what we're talking about. To call somebody. ¿Por qué? To say I love you. I called to say I love you. Right? I just called to say I love you. All right. Remember that. Don't listen to me sing. It's not pretty. All right. This room is too small to have a party. Right. Too small to have. Too small to have. Infinitive with
Party.
too small. Right. Remember, too small, too tired, too busy.
Is too small to have.
All right. All right. Last 5. I love in the mountains.
Hiking.
Well, we already have hiking here. What do we have before hiking?
I love to go
To go, or I love going.
going.
No problem. With love, when you say I love, we can use both. I love to go hiking. I love going hiking. No problem. I remember like, love, hate, begin, start, continue. We can use gerund or infinitive. I love to go hiking. I love going hiking. Now the next one says, oh, there's the answer already. Oops. Oops. Would you like to have some coffee with your muffin? Like to have. Infinitive. Okay. All right. Carlos isn't tall enough on the basketball team.
Isn't tall enough.
Carlos
isn't tall enough.
Play.
Should we say play or to play?
To play.
To play, right. He isn't tall enough to play on the basketball team. Again, enough with infinitive. Enough with infinitive. He isn't tall enough to play on the basketball team. Very good. Very good. Okay. Michelle is worried about
To pay.
Now, let's be careful.
Her rent.
Let's be careful. We have the word about.
Paying.
Paying. That's right. Gerund. We're going to use a gerund for that one because we have a preposition about.
Okay.
Whenever you have in, on, at, from, about, for, right? Thank you for helping me. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for giving me a recommendation, right? All right. Number 20. I had to move closer because I wasn't able
To pay.
well,
I have to pay because I wasn't able
think if you're in the classroom, right?
to have
To see, right?
see.
I wasn't able. I had to move closer to the front of the classroom because I wasn't able to see the board. All right. Bravo. And that's the end. In order to improve your English, you need to practice every day. That's true.
Okay.
And notice we use infinitive and another infinitive. Okay. So far, so good, huh?
Yes.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
So far, so good.
Not too bad.
Okay, very good. Very good. We're gonna do a little more practice today. We're gonna look at our books. We're gonna look at our books and practice infinitive a little bit more. And then on Wednesday, we'll practice even more. So we'll spend most of this week and next week reviewing infinitives and gerunds and how to use them together. But first I want to look at it in the book. Okay, and now we're going to find it in your book. Let me see if I can find the page now. If you have a book, it's going to be page, let me see here, page chapter 5. If I can find chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Chapter or unit?
Unit 5.
Unit 5.
Okay, let me find the page here. Unit 5 is going to be page, Unit 5, Around Town, page 58. Now, you might think we're skipping Unit 4, but don't worry. Ms. Aguirre is going to be doing Unit 4 with you.
58?
58.
Okay.
Unit 5, Around Town.
The green book.
Green book.
The green book.
Yes, the green book. So let me share it. The picture looks like this. Do you see the picture?
Yes.
You see a family looking
Yes.
at the computer?
Yes.
And this family is thinking about different things to do over the weekend. All right, so let's see, what are their choices? That we have a father and a mother and a little son, and they're thinking about their different choices. What is number 2? What is choice number 2?
The concert.
Community
community concert at the park, right?
Concert in the park.
And look at picture number 3. What's that?
It's
Going to the garden, right? All right. And picture number 4, what do we have there?
The school.
Teacher with the students.
No, 4.
No.
Picture 4. This
To
one
the
on the left side.
The visiting
A museum, right?
Museum.
And picture number 5.
in the library.
It looks like the library.
Listening.
The library, right? They're like the woman is reading a story to all the kids, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to do some listening practice, and you're going to hear a lot of infinitives. But here's what we have to do here. Okay? So we're going to have different things. We're going to have an outdoor concert, a tour of a garden, an art exhibit, and storytelling. And we're going to listen to the family's plans for the weekend. And we're going to fill out this information. So one of them starts at 10 o'clock. We've already got that one answered, that it's the art exhibit that starts at 10. One starts at 10:30. One starts at 11. What will the family do first? And what will the family do if the weather is nice? Okay, no problems?
No problem.
No problems. All right, very good. I'm going to turn off our microphones, and I'm going to turn on the sound so we can listen carefully. I'm going to play it, and I want you to take notes and write the answers to these questions. All right? I'm turning off the microphone so it's nice and quiet. Okay, and now I'm going to turn on the speaker of the computer. Okay, I'm going to turn on the speaker. And now I'm going to play this information. Okay. All right. Listen, give me a thumbs up if you can hear.
Unit 5.
Everybody here?
Around Town.
Okay. All right, so let's listen and let's see if we can put the information in the proper order, okay?
Page 59, exercises 2A and 2B.
May, I'm so glad tomorrow is Friday. It's been a long week.
Oh, that's for sure. What would you like to do this weekend, Win?
Well, there are a few movies we haven't seen yet. Or we could go to a concert downtown.
Oh, we can't afford to go to concerts when they're too expensive. And I'm sort of tired of going to the movies.
Okay, so let's do something different on Sunday. Something we haven't done yet this summer.
Like what? Got any ideas?
Let's check the newspaper for community events. Maybe we'll find something free right here in the neighborhood.
Oh.
Let's take a look. We have a lot of options. Here's something interesting. There's a concert in the park on Sunday at noon. Admission is free.
And here, look. There's a free walking tour of the gardens on Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Here's another option, May. The Museum of Art is free the first Sunday of every month. There's an exhibit of modern art showing now. The museum opens at 10 a.m.
Oh, and here's something at the library. Free storytelling for children on Sunday at 10:30. Everything is happening on the same day at the same time. What do you want to do, Wen?
Why don't we go to the library first?
Okay.
Then let's plan to go to the concert if the weather is nice. And then maybe later we can go to the art museum.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll check the weather forecast for the weekend. Then we can decide.
All right. Good. All right. Let me turn everybody's microphone back on. All right. Did everybody get the information?
No,
Yes.
Some of
not
it?
me.
Well, I'll play one more time and we'll stop it after each one, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, so let me put a button here. Okay. Let's listen one more
Unit
time.
5, Around Town. Page 59, exercises 2A and 2B.
May, I'm so glad tomorrow is Friday. It's been a long week.
Oh, that's for sure. What would you like to do this weekend, Wen?
Well, there are a few movies
Did you hear that first one? He said, what would you like to do this weekend? That was
we
an
haven't seen
infinitive,
yet.
right?
Or we could go to a concert downtown.
Oh, we can't afford to go to concerts, Wen.
There's another infinitive. We can't afford to go to concerts.
They're too expensive. And I'm sort of tired of going to the movies.
There's a gerund, right? I'm tired of going to the
Okay,
movies.
so let's do something different on Sunday. Something we haven't done yet this summer.
Like what? Got any ideas?
Let's check the newspaper for community events. Maybe we'll find something free right here in the neighborhood.
Oh.
Let's take a look.
Okay, now they're going to check the paper, and this is where all the
Okay.
information is.
We have a lot of options. Here's something interesting. There's a concert in the park on Sunday at noon. Admission is free.
And here, look. There's a free walking tour of the gardens on Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Okay, so Sunday at 11 o'clock
Yes.
is going to be what?
Number
B.
Letter B, right?
B.
Garden tower. Yes.
So number 3 is going to be B, free walking
Yes.
tour of the garden, right?
Yes.
So 3B.
Here's another option. The Museum of Art is free the first Sunday of every month. There's an exhibit of modern art showing now. The museum opens at 10 a.m.
Oh, and here's something.
That's what we already got, right? The museum opens at 10 a.m., so that's going to be letter C.
Yes.
So we have number 1 is C,
Number
and
one.
number 3 is
B.
B.
At the library. Free storytelling for children on Sunday at 10:30.
All right, and the storytelling,
Number
letter D is going to be
number
number 2. So C, D, B, right? C, D, B. Okay, so now let's see what they plan to do.
Everything's happening on the same day at the same time. What do you want to do, Wen?
Why don't we go to the library first?
Okay.
Then let's plan to go to the concert if the weather is nice. And then maybe later we can go to the art museum.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll check the weather forecast for the weekend. Then we can decide.
Okay, so What will the family do first?
The concert,
outdoor concert.
letter A.
Did they say they're going to go to the concert first?
Yes.
Go to the
No.
library.
Let me say it again.
Little D.
Free storytelling
D.
for children on Sunday at 10:30. Everything is happening on the same day at the same time.
Listen carefully
What do
right
you
here.
want to do, Wen?
What do you want to do?
Why don't we go to the library first?
Why don't we go to the library
Library.
first?
Little
right?
D.
Letter D.
Letter D, right?
Little D.
The family will do this first. D.
Yes.
D dog. And then,
Okay.
Then let's plan to go to the concert if the weather is nice.
okay, and the family will do this if the weather is nice.
Yes.
A.
A. Outdoor concert, right? All right, no problem.
No
No
problem.
problem. Okay, good. So you heard there several different infinitives, right? They said, what do you
Yes.
want to do first? What do you want to do? Right? I would like to do this. I want to do that. We can't afford to do this, right? This is typical case for using infinitives because they're talking about things that are potential actions in the future. Let's look at some vocabulary and then we'll see what we can do with infinitives more next time. But let's first look at the vocabulary. What does it say here? We have the word admission, afford, concert, event,
Afford, concert, events,
exhibit,
Exhibit.
option, storytelling, and
Storytelling.
tour.
Tower.
Okay, so let's see if we can find spots for each of these words. Okay, what does it say? It is Thursday.
It is Thursday.
May and Wen are talking about their plans for the weekend. They can't afford to spend a lot of money.
A lot of money.
What does it mean, afford?
Four.
What is
To
afford?
have.
Afford, what does afford mean?
Don't want to spend money.
Afford
Like
means
they don't have a lot. They don't have
have-
money.
you have enough money, right? And they say they can't afford, so it means they don't have enough money. Yeah, right? Let me put that on the board real fast. So that's might be a new vocabulary word for some people. So let me put it on the board here. Let me erase this, erase that, new board. Remember, I can afford to So I can afford to means I have enough money. I can't afford to means I don't have enough money. So for example, if you have $10, you can afford to have lunch at McDonald's, right? If you have $10, you can afford to have lunch at McDonald's because you can get lunch for less than $10 at McDonald's. But if you have only $10, you can't afford to eat lunch at a fancy restaurant, right? You can afford to go to McDonald's, but you can't afford to eat at a fancy restaurant. I can afford means I have enough money. I can't afford means I don't have enough money. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's go back to the other vocabulary words here. All right, here we go. So the first vocabulary word was afford. They can't afford to spend a lot of money on entertainment. So they decide to check the newspaper for free community what? Which word makes
Events.
sense? Community events. Very good.
Events.
Community events. So number 2 is events. Events. All right. And the next one, they have many
Exhibits.
options, right? Many choices. Many
Okay.
options, many choices. They have many options. Por ejemplo, what do we have? There's an outdoor what? Concert in the park. Remember, there was a concert. There's an outdoor concert in the park and a walking tour of the garden. Tour of the gardens, right? A concert in the park and a tour of the gardens. And what do they have at the art museum? A modern
Exhibit.
art
Exhibit.
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 Right. And all of those words are very similar in Spanish, right? Concert is concert, right? Exhibit, exhibit, right? Very similar. Right? Option,
Event.
event, right? Not very similar words in Spanish for all of these. All right. And all of these events have free what? What's the word?
Admission.
Admission.
Right? Remember, whenever you talk about a price to get in, we say admission fee, right? So you say I can't afford to go to Disneyland. Porque no? Because the admission fee is too high, right? It's like $200
Expensive.
$200 to go to Disneyland or something like that. Right?
Yes.
It's crazy. All right. Let's see. The problem is that these things are all happening at Sunday at the same time. May and Wen decide to take their son to the storytelling first.
Then
And if the weather is nice, they will go to the
they
concert.
will go to concert
Later, they might go to the art museum. Fantastic, fantastic. All right. No problems?
No problem.
No.
Okay, let's listen to the story and think about the pronunciation and the spelling here. And then we will do one last thing with infinitives before we take our break today. All right, because it's almost 12 o'clock. All right, so I'm gonna share one more time and turn on the sound. And I'm going to turn off your microphones real fast for just a minute. And let me turn off all the microphones. There we go. All right. And let's listen and read along. Okay, here we go. Let me put this out of the way.
Page 59, Exercise 3A.
It is Thursday. Wen and May are talking about their plans for the weekend. They can't afford to spend a lot of money on entertainment. They decide to check the newspaper for free community events on Sunday. They have many options. There's an outdoor concert in the park, a walking tour of the gardens, a modern art exhibit at the art museum, and storytelling for children at the library. All these events have free admission. The problem is that all these things are happening on Sunday at the same time. May and Wen decide to take their son to the storytelling first. Then, if the weather is nice, they will go to the concert. Later, they might go to the art museum.
Okay, very good. All right, turn everybody's microphone back on. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions with infinitives, and we'll practice just a little bit more before we say bye-bye for today. And then I'm going to give you some practice with infinitives to do before we see each other again on Wednesday, because this is our big focus for the next 2 weeks is learning all about infinitives and comparing them to gerunds. So we'll be in good shape for the second big thing of your test. Okay, let me see here. Let's start with Sarah. Sarah, are you ready?
Yes. I'm ready.
Okay, let's see. What is something you hope to do in the future? What do you hope to do in the future?
I hope I will. Okay, hold on. I hope I will move to Seattle, Washington.
Okay, or you could say, I hope. Your answer was good, but you could also say, I hope to move to Seattle,
Oh, I
right?
hope
Use
to
that
move.
infinitive. Use that infinitive. Your answer was fine. but you could also use infinitive. I hope too. All right, Berta. What do you need to do this week? What do you need to do this week?
I need go to the supermarket.
Okay, but let's use that infinitive. I need to go to the supermarket, right?
I need to go.
There we go. To the supermarket.
To the supermarket.
I need to go to the supermarket, right? All right. Maria Garcilaso.
Yes.
What do you plan to do this summer? What do you plan to do this summer?
I'm going to plan to go Disneyland.
To plan to go to Disneyland. If it's open, I hope.
I hope.
I hope.
I don't think so.
It could be a very boring summer for everybody, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
No movies, no baseball games. Oh, man. It's going to be terrible. Right? You think the children are bored right now. Just imagine how bored they're going to be in the summer. Nothing to do. No movies. No shopping mall. Nothing.
No, nothing.
No, nothing. Could be very boring. All right. Maria Gasca.
Yes.
Let's see. What would you like to study in the future? What would you like to study in the future?
I would like to study Italy, French language.
Oh, you'd like to study French. That's interesting. Bonjour. All right. Patricia, are you there, Patricia?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. What is something what is something you have to do every day?
I have to clean my house.
You have to clean your house every day. Have to clean your house every day. Very good. Jessica Calderon.
Yes.
What's something you would like to do, but you can't afford to do it? What's something you would like to do, but you can't afford to do it? You want to do it, but it's too expensive.
To buy a car.
Okay, so you can't afford to buy a car right now. You would like to buy a car, but you can't afford to buy one. I can't afford
to buy. Yes.
Okay, very good, fantastic. Elvira.
Yes.
What's something that's easy for you to do? What's something that's easy for you to do?
I something easy for ride a bicycle.
So it's easy for you to ride a bicycle. Yeah, so you say, it's easy for me to ride a bicycle.
Easy for me
to ride a bicycle.
To ride a bicycle.
Very good. Sebastiana.
Yes.
What do you think is difficult for you to do? What is difficult for you to do?
I don't know.
Everything's easy for you, huh?
Let me think. Oh, it's difficult
for me
to ride. It's difficult to me to ride a bicycle.
Okay. Oh, for you, you're not good about riding a bicycle. Okay.
No.
All right. So it's for you. It's difficult to ride a bicycle. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. Blanca.
Yes.
What's something what's a place you would like to visit in the future?
I will visit San Francisco.
Yeah, I would like to visit.
I would like to visit San
San
Francisco.
Francisco. Very good. All right. And Christina.
Yes.
What's something that you hate to do?
I hate to wash dishes.
Me too. Me too. All right. Very good. Very good. So all of those we were using a verb plus an infinitive. And in a couple cases, we used an adjective like difficult or easy plus infinitive. But most of them were about things that were going to happen in the future. For example, Sarah said she hopes to live in Seattle. And Christina said she would like. No. Christina said she hates to wash dishes. Right? All right. So those are all infinitives. And just to remind you, let me get that open real quick. Just remind you those words with infinitives. Okay. One last thing before we say goodbye today. All right. All right. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Push the button. Find the button, share the screen. Okay, there we go. Push the button, share the screen. Okay, there we go. All right, can everybody see that list?
Yes.
So this is the list that we're not gonna memorize all of these words. It's gonna be very difficult in just a few weeks to memorize all these words. It's almost impossible. But we're going to start to try to memorize these words, especially the most common ones like agree or afford, ask, decide, right? Some of these words we don't use very often, but like want, we use all the time. Try, we use all the time, right? Or promise, pretend, right? Some of these words are very, very common. And like I said, most of them are about potential actions in the future. Okay, so I'm going to send that list to you right after the class is over. Okay, and I'll send you some links for practice as well. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, and so we're out of time. That class went very fast today. Oh my goodness. I have many more things I want to say, but I'm out of time. All right, so I will have to save them for a lesson on Wednesday. Okay. So you're gonna keep working with Miss Aguirre on present perfect a little bit more this week, but we're gonna work on infinitives all week. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're working together. So between Miss Aguirre and me, you'll have the whole class, right? So so make sure you come on as many days as you can, and remember, if you miss a class, they're going to be on the YouTube, so you can always watch them there. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
We will see you on Wednesday.
All right. We'll see you on Wednesday. Good class
Thank you
today.
for the class, Miss West.
You guys did great. You're
Mr. West.
amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
See you later.